The Kansas City Chiefs have resigned wide receiver JuJu Smith-Schuster to a one-year deal, and we're going to talk about that in this video. My name is Michael Darcy. He's Josh fan of ShowMeFoot.com and Arrowhead Addict. We're going to talk about how JuJu Smith-Schuster is going to fit in this offense in 2025. Josh, I want to get your first initial thoughts on this signing. I know that it doesn't seem like much of a surprise, but who would have thought that after last year, before he even ended up back on the Chiefs, that JuJu Smith-Schuster would be on this team not only in 2024, but in 2025 as well. You know, the thing is, when he was cut, I feel like we all kind of saw it coming when he got cut from the Patriots and then came back to the Kansas City CHS. It's like there's no way they don't bring him in, right? Just another familiar face, and last year was kind of like the year of reunions for Kansas City Chiefs. But you know, Michael, I have no issue with it because I like Ju Smith for a lot, not only as player but as a person. Locker room personality, I just think he's great. Think he really lifts up the team spirit, but he's also a guy that in big moments has consistently shown up for the Kansas City Chiefs that kind of hold him together with duct tape during the regular season, especially with like those injuries. But when it comes time to play, JuJu Smith-Schuster's there, and he's also a great blocking receiver down the field, which I think goes untalked about a lot when Josh, I forgot to show it. This is on me. I'm going to go ahead and show that graphic from Jordan Schultz that the Chiefs are resigning JuJu Smith-Schuster to a one-year deal. New weapon for Patrick Mahomes, or I guess a key weapon for Patrick Mahomes, stays in Kansas City. I wanted to show that because I went the time of making it, so you guys might as well see it. But I do think that this offers more flexibility in terms of what you do in the draft, in terms of how you go about your business the rest of free agency, because while there were wide receivers out there, like Cooper Kupp and a couple key other free agents, like Davante Adams, those weren't super realistic. JuJu Smith-Schuster seemed like a realistic option, a fit for this offense, and it's not really a surprise that you know he's back on this team after last year when he got cut by the Patriots. He found his way back in Kansas City after they did cut him, so I do think this is a good signing if he's your wide receiver, for he's a great wide receiver for, and now you've got, Xavier Worthy, you've got Razed Rice, you have Hollywood Brown. Now JuJu Smith-Schuster, you'll probably spend a fairly high draft pick on a wide receiver, assuming that there's one in the draft that you like. And so, Josh, we talked about this on your video, the Chiefs' wide receiver room might be the best that it's been in quite a while. Yeah, just from a talent standpoint and explosiveness standpoint, assuming they do draft a receiver relatively high, like, I'll just throw out a name, but the Iowa State kid whose name escapes me at the moment, Jalen Noel. Yes, I believe so. If you were to bring him in, Jalen Noel or Jalen Royals from Utah State, I know he's a popular one. You add that in with Hollywood Brown, Rashid Rice, Xavier, or the in, assuming everyone's back and healthy, and there's nothing else going on there, like everyone's actually on the field, man, that's a damn good talented wide receiver, and it's the best position I think the Chiefs would be in a long time, and at that point JuJu Miss would be wide receiver 5, and I mean, if JuJu Smith-Schuster is your wide receiver 5, someone who can start if needed, even in the wake of injuries, and if he's someone that you need just for those blocking snaps, I mean, he's a great guy to have in the room, and I think he's a reliable veteran. He's going to teach some of the younger guys, take them under his wing. He's going to push these guys in practice. And I mean, think about it. This was a guy that was your wide receiver 1-2 years ago for that super winning team, and you fast forward 2 years later, and he's probably your wide receiver 5 after the conclusion of NFL draft. I just think that's a great spot to be in, and he's had his fair share of injury problems. That knee injury has been something that has nagged him for a while, and it's really the reason that he didn't work out in New England. But I think that this is one of those signings that he's Justin Watson replacement. Justin Watson signed that contract down in Houston. He's no longer here. The Chiefs wanted to go with someone that had familiarity with this offense, and JuJu Smith-Schuster is just a perfect fit for that, and I think that if he fits the Justin Watson role, this is a fantastic signing. And now Justin Watson wasn't magnificent in Kansas City, but he did his job. He was able to make a couple big catches down the stretch, and he fit exactly what the Chiefs needed him to do, and I think that's exactly what JuJu Smith-Schuster is going to do in 2025, and wouldn't be surprised if he somehow finds his way back on this team next year. Yeah, and the other thing about it too is like the money wasn't even mentioned for his contract, and the Jordan Schultz tweet, and a lot of times when the money is not mentioned, that it's super cheap, because if the money was good, not saying it's for JuJu, and I mean, I'm sure he's fully accepted, this stage of his career, and he's just happy to be in Kansas City, and that's awesome, but a lot of times when they don't put in the money, it's because nothing really to brag about, and that means he's back probably for close to veterans minimum, and I mean, you'll take JuJu for the veterans minimum as a guy who, on the right day can give you 100 yards, 60 yards, which we saw several times last year. Well, also we're on day 5-6 of free agency. Most of the big names are gone now, and these where teams go out and find depth at positions, and JuJu is exactly that. And like you said, no, the money wasn't specified because it's going to be very low. And what's the saying? I mean, the saying goes, there's no such thing as a bad one-year contract, especially with JuJu Smith-Schuster, who not only knows this offense but is shown that he can produce, multiple years apart like he was good last year, in stretches where I was like, are we gonna see DeAndre Hopkins step up in this moment? And it wasn't him, was JuJu Smith-Schuster. Yeah, no, absolutely, we talked about this on my channel just a few minutes ago, but I mean, it's crazy to say, and no one would have said it a year ago, but who's more likely to have a 100-yard game in the year 2025 between JuJu and D-Hop? I think it's Goo, because think we saw down the stretch there D-Hop, he just couldn't move, he's declined athletically, and yeah, he had a couple catches here and there, it's like wow, but he also dropped quite a few, including a wide-open pass of the Super Bowl. Yeah, can we talk about how the Ravens are like the graveyard where wide receivers go to die? Like, they seem to just pick up all of the wide receivers that have nothing left. I remember hearing that Odell Beckham Jr. was going to be a monster in Baltimore, and he was not very good. What his stat line, I don't even know. Listen, he like 500 yards, was it that good? Okay, I don't know where Obj is at. Right now he might be out of the league, but listen, he might be going to jail. Michael, if you've been keeping up with the Lou here, really all we have for this video again, Chiefs Kingdom, they are resigning wide receiver JuJu Smith-Schuster to a one-year deal. We do not know the contract money, but I would assume that it's a little more than one-year deal for a veteran. Maybe it's a vet minimum, who knows, but it's very affordable. He fits their scheme, and I think that there's really not much to dislike about this signing. No, and honestly, there's not much to dislike about what the Chiefs have done in free agency. Like, I really don't know how you could be complaining about any of these moves. I mean, and I've said it already, like, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So like, obviously, the goal is still to add, especially in the NFL draft, like to hit on most picks. That is the goal, the plan. But for the most part, one don't think there's anything bad about bringing mostly everyone back from the team that was one game away from 3 straight Super Bowls. Yeah. And while the result in that game wasn't great, we don't have to talk about that, but they got to that point, and I think we could all agree they didn't really look that great. Like, they could have been way better offensively, and you're in a position like the goal is still to get better this offseason. The goal is to get more young explosive on offense, but I mean, still there were guys that helped the team get there this year. JuJu was one of those guys. I'm happy to see him back, and it seems like they picked the guy between DeAndre Hopkins and JuJu Smith-Schuster that had the higher upside in 2025. If we're talking, 2022, that's a very different conversation, but JuJu is younger, he knows this offense better, and I think that it's probably a better fit schematically, at this stage in their careers for this Chiefs team. So Josh, that is all the time we have in this video. My final question for you is, where can the people find you? Find me here on YouTube, Show Football. That's the channel name. Make sure you check out my work on showyfoot.com. Eat Addict. Last but not least, follow me on Twitter at ShowFB, and guys, all that stuff will be linked in the description of this video. Hit that like button, also subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Until next time guys, thank you for watching this video, and as always, go Chiefs. The Chiefs have officially made it through the first week of free agency, and 2 former players are still available on the market. Those 2 players are linebacker Willie Gay and defensive end Charles Omenihu, and in this video, I'm going to give my thoughts on a potential reunion for those 2 players. You guys are listening to the KC Sports Report. My name is Michael Darcy. Hit that like button on this video and subscribe to this channel for more of the best daily Chiefs content on YouTube. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into today's question, and that question is, if the Chiefs should resign linebacker Willie Gay Jr. and defensive end Charles Omenihu. I asked that question over on my Twitter at KC Sports Report. You guys can go answer there or comment down below what you guys think. This is very interesting because after the first, second, and really third wave of free agency, a lot of these players don't get signed for a while, and Willie Gay Jr. Charles Omenihu fit that category of solid players that just didn't get picked up in the first week of free agency, and I think for a large part of that, that's just due to both of these players underperforming, and Charles Omenihu had an injury history, and when you add all of that together, they're not going to get multi-year deals, with no tens of millions of dollars in guaranteed money, and I think that initially that's what both of these players wanted, but that's just not what the market has for those 2 players in store, and we're actually going to go ahead and show what Charles Omenihu is listed on Spot Track. His calculated market value for next season is $1.8 million a season, that an average annual salary, and his market value contract projection is a 4-year deal worth over $47 million, and I just don't know if any team out there is going to give Charles Omenihu that type of money over a 4-year period when he's had an injury history. He hasn't been able to stay healthy, whether it's due to suspension or that ACL injury. He has missed a lot of time in Kansas City, and so I could see why a team wouldn't be super eager to give him a massive contract. But I actually had the opportunity to talk Charles Omenihu, who at the Super Bowl earlier this year, and he talked about his relationship with the guys on the defensive line and how much he loves being in Kansas City, and I'm actually going to go ahead and play that interview right here. Could you talk a little bit about your relationship with Chris Jones and some of the other guys on defensive line? Yeah, no, it's a great relationship. These guys, when I came here, they were all like they've all been each other for a while, so they opened the dining room to me with open arms, and they've been great and amazing to me. And when you came back, the defensive line just started producing even more. What type of energy do you bring to that room? Just everyone else feeds off of. I just have that in the voice room. Just wants everybody to get the quarterback. Always tell Joe, like, bro, put the game in dine hand. Like, no, the blitzes are cool skies, all good, but at the end of day you got 4D, they can go get it. So I kind of like try and push that to the room, be like, yo, why not we the ones that just kill, just take over the whole game? You know, that's my mentality. Charles, most CR on the defense, never faced Saquon Barkley. Or do you prepare for someone that you never faced? Watch film. That probably be the biggest thing. I've never gone against him either. This been my first time, so just watching film, that's all you really can do for real. So he's a great guy to talk. He gave me some really insightful answers, but if I'm just answering that question, if the Chiefs should resign Charles Menu, I'm all for it. I think the Chiefs need some more depth on their defensive line. You saw they made some moves, but they really didn't address the defensive end position, and I think that they are going to go out in this year's draft class and find somebody. But if you have the opportunity to sign Charles Menu to a 1 or 2 year deal, give him $5 to $20 million, you could probably get him for even less. You know that average annual salary, according to SpotTrack, says $11.8 million a year. He's not going to get that. He is not going to a 4-year, $47 million contract that he's projected. I think the injury history, think the lack of production, because he's just not been on the field. When you put all of that together, he is an affordable player the Chiefs should be all over, and if he is your 3rd or 4th defensive end, you're doing something right. And so I am all for bringing back Charles Menu on a shorter, team-friendly deal, and I think that he is someone that wants to be back in Kansas City. You saw him basically lose his mind on the sideline when he had the opportunity to play in Super Bowl when the Chiefs beat, the Bills in the AFC Championship game, and obviously he had to be consoled when the Chiefs ended up losing that Super Bowl. So I think he could come back and have some unfinished business, and I also think he's just one of those locker room guys that you just want to have. And so if the contract's right, and as long he continues to get passed on by other teams in free agency. Well, so before we talk about Willie Gay, and if he's going to come back, going to find his way back in Kansas City, let's hear from our sponsors. The Hollywood Casino at Kansas Speedway is the place to be, with over 1,500 slot machines, 35 table games, 4 restaurants, in a new ESPN Bet Sportsbook. There are plenty of ways to find your fun. For more chances to win, follow them on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Must 21. Gambling problem? Call 800-GAMBLER. Welcome to the Rice Real Estate Group, Kansas City's premier partner in real estate. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, you'll receive a tailored experience designed just for you, specializing in residential, commercial, and investment properties that the dedicated team over at Rice Real Estate Group helps guide you through every transaction, including navigating those short, complex sales. With a commitment to personal one-on-one service, they will ensure that you are supported every step of the way. You can achieve your goals with expertise, care, in a customized approach that truly makes a difference. Ready to make your next move? The Rice Real Estate Group is here to make it happen. For more information, call 816-819-9333. Huge shout out to the sponsors that support this channel all off-season long. But getting back into the main portion of this video, I want to hear from you guys down in the comments section below if the Chiefs should resign one of these players, both of these players, because I definitely think that they should go out and bring back defensive end Charles Menu. But with that being said, let's talk about former linebacker Willie Gay. Now, I looked up Willie Gay's average salary estimation on SpotTrack, and I actually didn't get anything. This is all that showed up his career earnings. He's made a little over $8 million in his career, and the bulk of that came with the Chiefs. Now, like most, he ended up leaving Kansas City and going to New Orleans. Just saw Justin Reed sign with the Saints. Tyrann Mathieu, Tono, Pacino, Clyde, where the list goes on, and New Orleans is essentially Kansas City, City's B team. But I think the Chiefs are in a position where they can bring Willie Gay back, and if he's your 4th linebacker, you've done a fantastic job. If Willie Gay is only in on obvious passing downs where he can drop back into coverage better than a Nick Bolton, you're in a really good spot. And he's going to be cheap, and he's made at this point in free agency. He is not going to command that much, but if you've seen, Brett V always likes to bring back former players that have familiarity with this defense, with system. No, Derek Nowie, who just signed elsewhere. I believe it was the Jets. He'd been here for 7 years, and I think that most of us could agree that Derek Nowie was not this great defensive tackle, but he knew the system was cheap, and it just worked out. And right now there's not really a market for Y Gay, and that really works in the Chiefs' advantage. You can go out and say, hey Willie, we want you back on this team. We'll give you a 1 or 2 year deal, no kind of a pro-it deal, but also he can fit in very nicely as depth on this team. You don't have to go with Jack Cochran as your 4th linebacker if you have Wiley Gay, and I think that is a huge improvement. And I'm at the point, if Chiefs go out in the next couple of days and they sign Charles Menu and they reign Willie Gay, if brought back both of those players, the Chiefs nailed free agency. They just nailed it, because you can go into the draft genuinely having very little holes, and you can take the best player available. If the Chiefs have to go into the draft and reach for a player because They need a left tackle, they running back, they need a wide receiver. That's not going to be a very good spot for them. And so if you can go into this 2025 NFL draft and not be super needy, that's a really good thing. So in my opinion, the Chiefs should absolutely look into signing, Charles Omenihu and Willie Gay Jr. It just makes sense. They know the defense. Steve Spagnuolo obviously loves them, and I think that their skill set fits into what the Chiefs currently lack on their defense. So I want to hear from you guys down in the comments section below. What do you think of the idea of bringing back one or both of these players? And who do you think the Chiefs should bring back in the second week of free agency? Because the good thing for the Chiefs is as these players go and sign, they're going to get cheaper. And I'm not sure if these guys are going to get signed after the NFL draft, which is a possibility because teams are kind of set right now and they'll know where their deficiencies are after the draft. I think it would be beneficial for the Chiefs to get something done now, and then you are fully good, you're locked in, you've got these guys on your roster, and then going into the draft you can just mess around and take the best player available. So Chiefs Kingdom, that is all the time I have in this video. That's all I've got. Hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel for more daily Chiefs coverage. Until next time guys, thank you for watching this video, and as always, go Chiefs.